excuse me, welcome everyone to the meeting of Monday, May 25th, 2026, District of Metchosin Council meeting. Councillor Shukin, you have a territorial acknowledgement.
Yeah, and very simply, I just want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, and especially the territory of our near neighbors, the Chianu First Nation, and also the Sauk First Nation. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you. Okay, council members, we have the agenda before us. I was just told 30 seconds ago, we've got a notice of motion and also the supplemental new business supplemental information. With that, those additions, I will take a motion to approve. Moved by Councillor Shukin, second by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? No one opposed. Let's move on to presentations. We're pleased to have the Metchosin International Summer School of the Arts, or what we always call MISA, presenting by Jill Allen, Executive Director of Metchosin International Summer School of the Arts.
Oh, thank you very much. As Mayor Little just told you, my name is Jill Allen, and I'm an artist as well as the Executive Director for Metchosin International Summer School of the Arts. It sounds like many of you may be familiar with our program already, which I'm glad to hear. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak, Mayor Little and councillors. Metchosin International Summer School of the Arts, or MISA, is a wonderful arts summer program that operates here in Metchosin on Lester Pearson College campus. We have, for the past 3 years, operated at a different location, but we're very happy to be returning to Metchosin this year and Lester Pearson, which is our home base. We feel like it's a homecoming. Registrations are open for the program. It takes place between July 18th and 31st this year. There are, of course, accommodations on campus and meals are included in the fees. As you probably know, it's a beautiful location, and we're very grateful to be operating in the territory of the Sihanouk people and on the campus of Pearson, where we have always found a very wonderful, warm welcome. MISA was established in 1984 by Robin Hopper, Fleming Jorgensen, Rona Murray, Cheryl Samuel, Carol Saveston. And the first program started out with 5 classes and 53 students, and it's grown from then to be a larger program. This year we have more than 30 workshops, and we're hoping for between 200 and 300 students. Some of the programming we offer is in two-dimensional arts, such as what you see on the screen before you, drawing, oil, acrylic and watercolor painting, and pastels. One of the cornerstone subjects of Metchosin International Summer School of the Arts is ceramics. So we have many wonderful ceramics programs happening this summer. And we also offer programs in fiber arts, bookmaking, and writing. We have 2 writing classes happening this summer as well. One of the things that MISA is really famous for is the intimate settings of the classrooms. We have small class sizes of 12 students, and many of our students return year and year again, expecting to see old friends and enjoy the camaraderie they found in a supportive, creative community. This is one of the ceramics classes with Gordon Hutchins. In the past, we've had atmospheric kilns so we can fire outside using gas and salt and soda, different materials that make different atmospheres in the kilns. And those are sought after classes because it's unusual to find those kinds of facilities. We've had to dismantle our kiln, and we'll be working towards rebuilding it in the future. And these are just some examples of people interacting in the wonderful space at Pearson College. So most of our programming is private for the students that are registered in the classes, but we do have a couple of public events that happen during the course of the workshops. One of them is Gumbo Night, where the public is invited to come, and for the purchase of a ticket, you receive a handmade ceramic bowl and dinner in the beautiful setting of Pearson College. So we'd like you all to know that you're welcome to join us for that event. We hope to see you there. We're also having a gala event where we have it's for fundraising. We have a silent auction and just a big celebration. This year the theme is homecoming, so we're hoping that people will dress up in their tuxedos and glad rags and grad dresses and come out and help us and celebrate being back at Pearson. And we're also actively recruiting volunteers to help us with our programming this summer, and we would love to welcome people from the local Metchosin community to come out. We need some volunteers that have art experience that can work as technicians, and we would ask those volunteers to stay with us on campus for the duration of the program. But we do also need volunteers to come for shorter times as well, and that's where we're hoping we can find folks from the local community to help out with checking guests into their accommodations and helping to set up and clean up after the program, and also to run the events and the store that we keep open during the program. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and I hope that we might meet on the campus, and please help us to spread the word. I have some flyers and posters if anyone's interested with me, and thank you very much for letting me speak today.
Would you entertain some questions and comments? Okay, thank you, Council. Somebody may have questions. Well, welcome back. We're happy to have you here. We're very proud of MISA here in Metchosin, so welcome home to where you belong. Council members, Councillor Shukin.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Allen, through you, Mayor Little. Thank you, Ms. Allen, for coming to share this information. Quick kind of range of how many students you will put through during the course of the program?
Right now we have about 175 registered, so we're hoping to have more than 200 by the time of the workshops. But in the past, they've had up to 400 students, and we have capacity for 404 students in our programs this year. So fingers crossed we'll get more than 200. But
Thank you, Councillor Donaldson.
That's through the chair. How far away do students travel to come to MISA?
we actually have a student coming from New Zealand this year. It's not uncommon for us to have a number of students from the United States. One of our instructors is coming from Mississippi. So we do have people coming from far afield, and we have students from Ontario and the Prairie provinces as well. So,
and lots of locals from the island.
lots of locals, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anybody else? No. I have friends that regularly attend MISA.
Oh,
They
great.
plan their holidays around it, and they've made pen pals all around the world.
That's
So
great.
it's great, particularly the ceramics, the painting, mixed media, the
Yeah,
fiber. Yeah.
yeah. Well, there's long-standing roots in the community. It's been going for about 40 years. So we're actually calling this our unofficial 40th anniversary because we had to close for a couple of years for COVID. So, but originally we were founded in 1984. So, yeah.
Anybody else have any comments? No. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for coming today. Okay, next we have public participation. Should you wish to speak at the microphone, you have 4 minutes. There's a light on the table that will go green as soon as you go ahead. As soon as you start speaking, and then it will go to yellow when you have 30 seconds left and red when the time is up. If you could state your name and your street.
Good evening. Carol Voigt, Gemini Drive. I'm here tonight as a Metchosin resident, a taxpayer, and a representative of about 300 members of Metchosin Pickleball Club. I received an email last week I wish to bring to your attention and to the attention of taxpayers. Without preamble, explanation, or context, this email began. It is with regret that I am sending this email to inform you that there will no longer be bookings at the school beyond the hours of Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. This change will take effect as of July 1st, 2026. Wow. This suggests the district staff appear to be making decisions for their own operational convenience rather than on behalf of the community they supposedly serve. I would like to know if MPC was the sole recipient of this directive, or if a similar email was sent to all renters of the school property. Does this mean Macca's Christmas market is cancelled? Does this mean, what about CERC's vaccination clinic? APRM talks, DriveWise, Jiu-Jitsu, emergency medical training, or any other weekend and evening programs? Who approved this abrupt change in policy? Why can users of the community hall, the community house, and Macca all have access to community buildings after regular business hours, but Metchosin Pickleball Club cannot? This directive came as an enormous surprise to me, as did the proposal of Bylaw 715 at the January 12th council meeting. Proposed Bylaw 17 brought forth by district staff that they advocated a gym rental increase gym rental fee increase that, if implemented, would have effectively increased our fees by 39% overnight. Neither last week nor in January was prior discussion with affected parties sought, any explanation provided for this sudden policy change. No underlying problem was identified or communicated, and there was no opportunity for input into or consideration of potential solutions to whatever this perceived problem might have been. The perceived problem, if one even exists, remains a mystery. I am deeply troubled that the lack of consultation with and a general disregard for volunteers seems to be evolving into a norm for this administration. Should this latest directive be implemented, it will result in the reduction of pickleball bookings of more than 20 hours per week throughout most of the year. This would not only be an enormous loss to our community, it will also be an expensive decision for taxpayers. If implemented, this new policy will cost the district, and therefore taxpayers, a minimum of $18,000 annually in lost income. Until now, income from MPC's rentals have been providing a meaningful contribution to cost recovery for the school property, and cost recovery is important to taxpayers. In January, the administration was seeking abruptly to increase rental fees in an attempt to increase rental income. 5 months later, the same administration has become indifferent to losing significant rental income, more than twice the amount, by the way, by limiting the community's access to the school. Can you please explain this? I am an unpaid volunteer doing an enormous amount of work to enable our community to recreate, socialize, learn, and play at home. This is work that paid administrative or contract staff would otherwise need to take on. I would like to hear what each one of you have to say about this latest policy directive communicated by district staff. Thank you.
Very little. I'm going to just say this is the first I've heard of this, and I wonder if we could find the appropriate moment to get clarity from staff as to what might happen
Let's
or
get
what
through.
has happened.
Let's get through public participation, and then we'll give staff an opportunity to speak. Okay? Okay. Next in public participation.
Red means it's on. Okay. I just lost a minute, didn't I? Yeah, I wish to speak in support of the Dark Sky Community Designation proposal tonight. I'm responding to a submission that came as part of the supplemental board package. I'd like to address the points made in order for those that have it there. The first point is lighting policy covers public and private lighting. That's quite true. The reason that this is done is so that we have harmonization. The implication that's being made in the document is that somehow this is a enforced thing. All private participation is voluntary. And in fact, having that kind of thing in place is mostly limited to businesses and institutions. With that regard, I'm hopeful that Pierce College will come on board. They've already, some of the staff there's indicated they're very interested in it. If we do not get the support of volunteers willing to sign up for this, our application may fail, because that's one of the things that we have to do. Second point, public lighting must comply within 5 years. quite true. But we've already done that, so it's a moot point. Not sure why it was in there. All private lighting must be brought into compliance within 10 years. The implication being, again, that somehow this is a regulation. Not true. It only applies if you sign up to the program as a volunteer, in which case they have done this, so you have 10 years to comply. So that's done so that you will wind up spreading your costs out over a longer period of time. You won't get any volunteers if you can't afford it. It's just as simple as that. And if the deadline isn't met, it doesn't affect the person, the entity that's doing it. It only affects our designation, whether we may keep it or not. Technical requirements must apply community-wide. There's a point there. Well, yes, that's true. The technical requirements, everybody signs up to the same standard, so it's uniform across the board. Requirements meet the Canadian Guidelines for Outdoor Lighting, CGAL, which coincidentally is the basis for Metchosen's existing dark sky policy, the one we have the plaque on the wall for. Okay. So again, we're not really doing anything. CGAL is such a standard now, it's considered to be the current architectural best practice. So new construction almost always meets it anyways. So anybody building something is going to be compliant. I have a son who is an architect, and his comment was, well, that's a no-brainer. So, number 5, there was a statement in the document that said Metchosen must enact and enforce a bylaw forcing residents and businesses to comply with the lighting policy. Patently false. Nowhere in the guidelines, and I have copies of it if anybody's interested in it, is that statement made. And since the rest of the document is based on that false premise, I'm not going to talk about it, just leave it at that. The purpose of this application is simple. It's to provide leadership for the residents of Metchosen to make good decisions about outdoor lighting. We provide leadership by signing up as a designate. We get resources and materials. We provide that to the community, and they make the decision as to what they want to do. So anyone who's suggesting otherwise is not really telling the whole story. So, as I said, anybody who would like to see the guidelines, I have copies, and please contact me offline. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Violaine Mitchell, Whitty Beach Road, Metchosen. I was actually going to speak on one topic, but I'll speak on 2. One, I certainly hope the issues that Carol have raised, which I think are new to you, are addressed. I think all of us can agree that the Metchosen School is an incredibly vibrant centre all weekend long, and it's a wonderful place where people can gather, and I hope there's just a major misunderstanding. I actually wanted to speak to the dark sky and to really thank you, Mayor and Council, for putting forward and endorsing this process that we can become members of the dark sky community. I took a quick glance at some of the concerns raised in the pink sheet. I think Mr. White has addressed them. This isn't a thing we're going to bylaw our way into at all. This is about education, people understanding the value. And you know, I think many people don't realize that more than 2/3 of the animals that we have in our community are nocturnal. 80% of migratory birds travel in the dark. Insect activity increases by night. Our livestock thrive on nocturnal cycles. Farmers don't want artificial light unless we're doing something specific with chickens or etc. So, but there is something magical about Metchosen and the dark skies that have existed in Metchosen. It's a gift we bring to ourselves and our community, but also to those around us. And I think the Dark Sky International movement is a wonderful movement. And what we're really signing on to is a commitment for education. And here, you know, I know this is more applied to management and leadership, but I think it applies in this situation too, which is the 3 U's. Are people unaware? Are they unable? Or are they unwilling? And I believe that in the case that we have in Metchosen, many newcomers, and I noticed on our last recall that I was only able to watch the video, but the speaker noted that one of her neighbors has put up cafe-style lights. Well, I believe that maybe people will come to understand that actually that's not the right thing to do for wildlife, for your neighbors. So I believe in the unaware, I believe in the unable, and we can certainly, through this process and the resources that are accorded to us, really help people figure out what they need for motion sensor lights or whatever they might choose for their livestock, for their home, for their business security, etc. And then there's the unwilling, and I believe that's actually a very small proportion of Metchosin. But we're not about regulation here. I think this is truly a movement about education, about celebrating what's already in Metchosin that's magical, and I really want to just commend council, mayor and council for really taking this forward, because I think it's a long-term process, but a really super one that's contributing to the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody wish to speak at the microphone?
Sarah Anthony, Metchosin Road. Did want to speak about the Dark Skies initiative in terms of the fact that on the Healthy Communities Committee, and I think when this came forward, it was something we all thought was interesting and we're happy to look into it. Where we did get to kind of a stop was that it wasn't really clear on whether or not it would be just educational or there would be enforcement. And I think we were all very against if it was an enforcement issue. We saw a lot of problems. I mean, we were all in this room a couple months ago when everybody was absolutely losing their minds because of the possibility of bylaws on restricting sound. So I think we can all kind of see how that might go if people, even if it's a perceived fear and not necessarily a true one. I think maybe what I'm maybe trying to say is I think we do need to have this more clarified, number one. And number two, if it is just educational, I think going about it in a way that's maybe kind of slow and educational before actually even jumping right into it might be a good idea, just to not have that kind of reaction again, where everybody is sort of fully aware of the scenario and not just having a fear-based response because the information isn't fully there and clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody wish to speak to the microphone? Okay. I'm just going to ask thanks, Patty, ask our staff. Mr. Creek or Mr. Payette, I was wondering if you could respond to Ms. Voigt's comments that she made at the microphone. Mr. Payette.
Sure, through the chair. We love pickleball and the business and activity. No doubt about it. We want to help. The problem we're running into is the higher risks in the facility. Weekends and nights, we don't have any staff there, direct staff on site. And we're finding doors are left open and people are in the building. We don't know who's there. So we have to contain this somehow. I'm happy to work with Carol. Maybe we can work on some kind of agreement, a higher level agreement where they take accountability during that time. I'm not sure, but our concern is our risk is getting up there with that facility, and with activities and high risk activities, we have to be pretty careful. So that's it.
Okay. I don't want to open this up to debate right at this moment because we haven't launched into our council agenda. Does council want to discuss this right now? This is an operational issue with our staff. This hasn't come to the council table. I wasn't even aware of this. I think it's best that we leave this to our CAO. That's his job. We define policy, bylaw, and that is in his department. That's what I would, Councillor Shukin.
Okay, well said, Mayor Little. I wonder if a motion is in order, just to request
I'm
that.
going to cut you off for a moment.
Okay.
As I explained previously, motions on the fly are not good for governance. They're not good for this table. We often get into trouble when we have motions on the fly.
Yep.
So I'll caution you before you begin.
Sure. That said, I wonder if a motion is, I do hear what you're saying, Mayor Little, a motion just to direct CAO to engage the Metchosin Pickleball Club to work out a solution as possible.
Okay.
Just to what CAO
I'll
Pilot
interrupt
was
you
saying.
there because the CAO has already indicated in front of the public and on the video that he's willing to work with Ms. Voigt. I don't think a motion from this council to direct the CAO to do his job is not useful.
Fair enough. I was wondering if that would be in order, so it was a question. So
Okay?
I do want to thank Mr. Payette, though, for reaching out, and yeah, it would be good to come up with a solution as we're able to. So
Yeah, remember, solutions did come to this table. There was an ask for money for a coordinator position, and because of our fiscal reality, that wasn't palatable at the table. So what Mr. Payette has said is that what we really need is somebody on site. And we don't have that. We have staff that are here Monday to Friday. Okay? Okay, Councillor Gray.
Yeah, I'm just taken aback by the presentation. I think it's important that we communicate well, and if the CEO can get on this fairly quickly, that would be a help. As I think I heard earlier,
Yeah,
instructions were to
point
discontinue
taken,
by
but we're
July-
not gonna we're
by
not
July
going to weigh
1st.
in on how he does his job. And I don't know what his schedule is. He is
I'm sorry, I've
committed.
completed speaking, thank you.
Excuse me?
I've completed speaking, thank you.
Okay, let's let the CEO do his job. He's committed to speak with and work with the person that was at the microphone. Let's let him do that. Okay, so that's it for public participation. We're going to move on your iPads, we're at page 11, May 4th, 2026, regular council meeting. This is for adoption.
move adoption of the May 4th council meeting minutes.
Okay. This is moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Anything else? There we go. Okay, so for those of us that's using our iPads, it's going to go a little bit slow. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Receipt of the minutes. We have the receipt of Committee of the Whole meeting, May 11th, 2026. Could I have a motion to receive? Moved by Councillor Gray, second by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Thank you. The business arising. Right off the bat, we're going to move on to the mayor's update before we do our business. So as many of you know, I provide a written update every month at one meeting and a verbal update at the other. I've been extremely busy, as you can see. I won't read all of this, but some of the highlights were the Qingming Festival and their background of the Chinese Labor Corps, the non-combatant regiment in the First World War. This was a grave sweeping or looking after the graves initiative. It was really, really interesting. This was on the grounds at William Head, and this was organized by members of the Chinese community. Mary Lindsay, who's a member of the Citizens Advisory Board at the prison, as am I, and I was invited just to give introductory remarks and welcome to Metchosin. Really interesting. Okay, second of all, as you all know, this is National Accessibility Week. And this starts on Sunday, the last Sunday in May. And this is for May 31st to June 6th. We're celebrating accessibility, ability, recognition of different diversities. And this week's motto is Building a Strong, Accessible Canada. So this is a Canadian-wide celebration. In addition, very timely, the Capital West Accessibility Advisory Committee, which we belong to, has published their report, and the link is provided on the council agendas as well as on the website. It looks wonderful. You remember we saw a draft of that earlier on, I think in 2024, 2023. And so this is an update of that. So please read it. It's what we asked for. We pay for the service, and they're providing that legislative piece. Remember when the provincial government brought down the regulation regarding accessibility, there was 3 asks: a portal, an accessibility plan, and a committee. And we fulfilled all our obligations to the province as well. This is a live document, so it will be continually updated. Regarding the CRD, lots happening there. I've provided links for all of you because I know some of you are very interested in the invasive species list, as well as the CRD's climate strategy, as well as the Greater Victoria Water Conservation Plan and the Water Supply Master Plan updates. Those are all public documents, and there's links provided here. As well, I thought what was interesting, that came up at the Wanda Fuca at the electoral areas meeting, and this was the soil removal bylaw. So you might want to take a look at that and see if there's anything that's applicable to Metchosin. I also attended an elder lunch, a Shiano Elders Lunch. This was also at William Head Institution at the Salmon House. This was hosted by William Head Institution, the elders, on behalf of the residents there who identify as First Nations. And it really was a remarkable event. They had smudging and what is it called? Cedar bough touching? Cedar bough? I've got it in here somewhere. Brushing, that's the word. Yeah, an incredible event. And I think the residents there of First Nations origin felt really supported. There were elders from as far away as Ahousaht, off Tupino up there, and in Cowichan. So it was a really remarkable event. And then Katie Nelson, who's here, had a talk at the Metchosin Talk and Walk on May 15th, and she outlined the history, the challenges, and the successes of the volunteers that are restoring our Garry Oak Meadow out here next to the Municipal Hall in honor of Councillor Morley Milne. So congratulations to all the volunteers. Congratulations to Katie on her talk and her walk. Lots of information there. I've provided the website. There's also past articles in the Muse regarding that, some of which I've written, and Councillor's update from the last term when this was in my portfolio. Okay, the Village Initiative. Remember, we had the Village Initiative at this council table. The Village Initiative, they gave a presentation. It's an umbrella organization of over 70 organizations working together to better support the health and well-being of children, family, and youth in the fast-growing community of West Shore Souk region. And that includes us. A business case was brought forward by the Village Municipal Leaders Advisory Team, which I'm a part of. This was, at the helm was Colwood Mayor Doug Kobayashi, as well as Scott Goodmanson, Ken Williams, Councillor Jeff Bateman from Souk, David Grove from Colwood, as well as Souk School Superintendent Paul Black, as well as Island Health. So it's quite a leadership team. I'm pleased to say that municipalities across the West Shore and Souk are now considering investing in a new regional coordinator position, so this is going ahead. And I also understand there was a press release today, and although we've decided at this council table not to support it, there are members of the community that have, of our community, that have donated on our behalf at that, so we will be made whole. Our portion will be paid by volunteers in the community. So I think that's marvelous. And that, I'm hoping that we can have this on our website, just the press release, or we can pump it out on our social media. I'll send you the press release. It went out this morning. And as a reminder, Census 2026, I talked about this last month. Please fill out your 2026 census of population. I did receive a few calls from people saying that they've been encouraged not to send it in. That's against the law. But besides that, they want to get us below that 5,000 level. I think we're long past that, and I would really encourage you not to break the law. I would really encourage you to look at the Statistics Act and please complete the census. It's helpful for all levels of government, including us here at the District of Metchosin. So that concludes my mayor's update. Now let's just go. And for those of you who haven't been paying attention, we've moved from a paper form to a electronic form for all of our agendas. A little bit clunky, that's why we have to go a bit slow. Next, we've got the business arising, 7A. This is recommendation from the May 11th Committee of the Whole, dark sky designation. I'm just going to pause there because I just want to remind everybody that we had significant and lengthy discussion about this at the Committee of the Whole, which is very appropriate. We have Committee of the Whole and committee meetings because that's where the active debate is. And then we give that a week or two of sober second thought. Anything new, any new information, we don't want to reiterate or relitigate your points. That is brought to the council meeting. And this is the meeting to ratify what was discussed at the Committee of the Whole, unless you have something that is new information. So I am going to be not very tolerant with rehashing everything through an hour and a half or 2 hours. But if you have new information or new thoughts, those can be entertained. So we've got these recommendations. Shall we begin the discussion? Councillor Gray.
I'll make the motion that council apply for Dark Sky International Dark Sky Community designation, and that council direct the application to be prepared by members of MEASC working with Dark Sky International for submission to council for approval, and that the district pay the one-time $250 application fee from the 2026 MEASC budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Councillor, are you seconding the motion? Okay, this is moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Go ahead, Councillor Gray.
As you mentioned, we discussed this quite fully at our last meeting, or meeting of the Committee of the Whole. We have some correspondence today, and we've heard from public participation, different views. But as explained earlier, this is about education, not regulation, and we would like to proceed.
Thank you, Councillor Donaldson.
Those would be my sentiments as well. If there's something that's damning that we need to retract, then I guess we would have known by now. So certainly education is a place to go through. If this turns into be something more than that, we will certainly learn about it very quickly.
Okay, Councillor Shukin.
Yeah, and I'm prepared to support the motion as well. I suspect there are some outstanding issues in terms of getting into the depth of becoming a dark sky community. I did look up one community's bylaw, and it actually seemed to be, fairly rigorous. But at the same time, we pay the application fee. That is not compelling us to adopt a bylaw or especially to enforce. So I agree with what my colleagues have said about the crux, the driver for all of this being education. And thank you to Mr. White for further clarifying that. So I am prepared to support this as well.
Okay, thank you. And I'm also prepared to support it. But I have a question for Councillor Gray. Was there ever any attempt to speak to the members of the Healthy Communities who discussed this, Healthy Communities Committee, who discussed this originally? Did the chair meet with the chair of MEASC meet with the chair of Healthy Communities? Did the council liaison reach out to the other members of the Healthy Communities?
We discussed this at our last meeting and I have no new information to provide.
Yeah, I think that's where think some of the misinformation has come from. I think a healthy discussion with the chairs, since it had been discussed at both, I think it would have been respectful to the Healthy Communities and to help avoid some of the misinformation. But for reasons that were discussed not only at the podium, but also the other night, I would be prepared to follow this, particularly because it's the education. And as you remember, I was looking through all the documents and I asked the question, is this going to be a bylaw? This is not going to be a bylaw. It is going to be a policy. So we already have on the wall here even a designation that this is of the dark sky. So this is a continuation of that. And as Mr. White said, it's additional information to give everybody the opportunity to make informed decisions for the sentimentality of the community. I'm going to ask CEO Payette to weigh in.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Through the chair. I think the dark sky concept is amazing from a chosen for sure. People can research Jasper National Park and see some of the benefits of that kind of designation and the kind of effect it has on people. As far as, you know, a community would be involved. I really respect Ted White and his can-do attitude on this. I can understand the perspectives of the different committees, and we can't not recognize that there would be concern in the community. If you read through the website of the Dark Skies, it does talk about bylaws and does talk about policies, and it does kind of have that kind of language in their literature. And so we can't deny that there would be some community concern, not concern, but sort of questioning. And so in that kind of light, if council is to proceed, which it sounds like you're going to, I would like to work fairly closely with Ted just to make sure that we're getting the right message out to the community, so we don't, you know, come to a point where someone comes to the podium and, you know, says we didn't know anything about this, so let's just you know, do it right the first time. And I'm happy to work with Ted as he does his research just to make sure we're on the same path.
Yeah, thank you. I met with Mr. White for an hour today regarding his concerns and how he was going to proceed. And I appreciate those comments and yeah, applaud Mr. White incredibly. Okay, so it looks like we're ready to vote. I'll call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Moving along to recommendations. This is 7B. This is recommendations from the May 11th Committee of the Whole, Royal Roads University Student Research. Councillor Shukin.
Thank you, Mayor Little. I would just move that council direct staff to coordinate next steps with Royal Roads University to facilitate student research projects in the bufferland. So moved.
Okay, this is moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Gray. Do you want to comment? Councillor Shukin?
Just really quickly, I think the students are going to be self-contained, self-motivated, and ideally very little trouble, and there will be no cost to the district unless we hear otherwise in terms of a specific proposal that might come to us. So great initiatives all around, and I suspect we'll have a lot to learn from them too. So.
Okay, Councillor Gray?
I support the motion.
Yep. And most importantly, Royal Roads University has insurance for their students and faculty that will be there. Seeing no other comment, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous as well. Let's move along to recommendations from the May 11th Committee of the Whole, Bufferland Title Review, Park Dedication, and Section 219 Covenant. This is 7C on your council agenda. Councillor Shukin.
Thank you, Mayor Little. I wish to move that council receive the findings of the review of the registered charges affecting the bufferland as outlined in the report. And I'm sorry to question, can we do this all as one motion? Okay, sorry. And that council authorize the mayor and CAO to execute the Form C release to discharge and release historic covenants EX 2189 and EG 44432 and expired DP notations FB 466313 and FB 466314 from the bufferland legally described as Lot A, Section 93, Metchosin District Plan EPP 69605 and Section 94, 96, and 108. And that council authorized the mayor and CAO to execute Form C release to discharge stormwater easement and covenant CA 5867519 and 520 from the bufferland legally described as Lot A, Section 93, Metchosin District Plan 605, Section 94, 96, and 108. Oh my goodness, there's more. And that council authorized the release to discharge stormwater covenant FB 586, modified by CB 393 from lots 1 to 34, sections 93 to 94, Metchosin Plan 5710 from Lot D, Section 93, 94, Metchosin Plan 960. And that council directs, and that council received the staff report. And finally, that council direct staff to bring forward the park dedication bylaw for first, second, and third readings and the Section 219 covenant for execution following completion of the registered charge releases authorized by council. So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Brief motivation.
Again, thanks to the planner, planner Ms. Johnson, and to staff as well for bringing this forward to us.
Okay, Councillor Donaldson.
No, I agree as well. Our staff put a lot of time and energy into this, and I followed through step by step with the Bufferland Working Group and the current volunteers and Councillor Shukin on this. I really appreciate it coming to this point. It's been a long road.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak? No, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous as well. Thank you. And we'll move along to D, which is recommendations from the May 11th, 2026 Committee of the Whole Fire Hall Project Options Review. Does anybody? Okay, go ahead.
I will move that council direct the CAO to engage with the proposed volunteer fire hall technical team, that council direct the CAO to report back to council with recommendations on a qualified firm to conduct a fire service needs analysis that will inform decisions about the future of the fire hall as soon as possible.
So this is moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Councillor Donaldson, go ahead.
I don't have anything to motivate, as I expect that our CAO will do his due diligence and keep us informed.
Councillor Shukin.
Same as well. Thank you.
Okay. Staff, anybody wish to speak?
Through the chair.
Sorry, go ahead.
On this motion, if I could ask council what council's expectations would be in the needs review to help me with developing a scope of work for the project.
Okay. And okay, so you heard the request from the CAO. We're talking about the needs analysis. Go ahead.
So the question that I believe is lingering in the community is whether we are building the right size of fire hall. are we overbuilding? Are we building a Taj Mahal when we talk about option 1A? But even if we don't go with option 1A, what is it? What is the type of building we need? So the needs analysis is intended, from my perspective, to look at, and we did cover some of this at the last meeting. So what are our call volumes? What's the equipment that we have right now? Is it adequate to what the needs are? When are we scheduled to replace the equipment? What are our shared service agreements like? Again, we talked about I forget the term, a fire service review, but I think there's part of that to be done, but the key thing is directed to the building. Is the building that we will look ahead to the future going to serve our needs? That's the question that I see this answering. Now, again, what we're asking Mr. Payette to bring, and I'm sure that Chief Verdun is going to be informing Mr. Payette as well, is a recommendation on who the service provider could be. So some of this is going to get fleshed out, but to me, the key question is the building itself. So,
Anybody else wish to weigh in? Councillor Donaldson?
Yes, I'd just like to add that for a community that isn't projected to grow too much in the next 20 years, as we learned from our planner, that we build within our needs for that purpose, but also what budget are we actually going to, do we have a budget, or are we going to have to borrow and that sort of thing? So are we building within our needs budgetary wise, or are we going to have to go into debt? So I'm hoping that that'll, once we understand what the needs are, that seems to be paramount and is at the forefront from our constituents. It's something that keeps coming back as to the affordability.
Anybody else? Give another person an opportunity, and I'll come back to you. Councillor Gray?
Yeah, and through the chair to the CEO, I think there's a possibility too of good discussion with the proposed volunteer technical team, as it was one of the issues that they identified to look at. So I expect they'll be able to help out with that.
Okay, thank you. I was scribbling some notes here. Thank you for that. I agree with Councillor Shukin regarding the timeline. That's very helpful. The fire service review and Councillor Donaldson regarding how we're growing. That although we're not developing, there are suites, so people will be added to these suites. We're encouraging people to have the detached or attached suites for their families. That's an increase in populations, hence coming back to census, need to fill out the census forms. So we already know that, as well as at your finance committees, our CFO Creek has laid out those options. So if we go back to that, perhaps I'll get Mr. Creek to resend his report outlining different options, whether we get the grant that we've applied for. We'll hear soon. We're told sometime before October, hopefully, whether we get the grant, what we have available in our reserves, what we have in the in all of this reserves and all of the finances that we have available to us. So Mr. Creek will send that to all of council, but it is a public document. But I also think we need to review the feasibility study that's already been provided to us. So we've already contracted with JDA Architects, so I think that would be a good starting point because they've laid it out in that fire hall feasibility study. I think we should also review where the project is today and give review where it is today, gather more hard data regarding what is needed on the current performance and the resource allocation, and of course define the future needs of the fire hall, objectives, milestones, given how we are going to grow a little bit. We're not a development community, but we are going to grow little bits, and probably get a handle on those gaps that were analyzed or identified. I think that was a common theme about the gaps. create some sort of action plan as well. What else did I put down here? Oh, and then some action plan, and then coming back and looping back to those gaps to provide specific tasks to identify those gaps. I hope I'm clear.
Yep.
Yeah. And let's see, I think that was it for me. Okay. Councillor Gray for a second time.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that the discussion we had at our last meeting was not about the building itself in terms of whether or not it needs to be replaced, but rather the issue of identifying community needs. So when we have in the motion conduct a fire service needs analysis, we were talking about what does the community need out of the fire department, and then what does that mean in terms of the size and nature of the building.
Councillor Shukin.
I think well put by Councillor Gray. Two other things at the risk of kitchen sinking here. One of the things to consider is the environmental, we have a lot of trees in Metchosin. And as we look ahead, climate change and extreme weather events are going to be a big feature in our lives. So where does that fit in? And also, I think the community has become a big fan of medical calls that the fire department helps us with. So if we're to continue with that, what does that mean in terms of space, capacity needs, et cetera, et cetera? So again, just back to what Councillor Gray was saying in terms of community needs, those I think are two big ones to give consideration to.
Yeah, and I think this is timely because now our fire chief has been with us, 13 weeks or so. He's got his boots firmly planted at the fire department, and he's looking all around and meeting with all of our regional partners and the prison and Pearson College and all of the regional partners that we have mutual aid with. And so I think he will have valuable information for the CAO, and he'll probably comment in the future when we discuss this again. Yeah, okay, that's great. So I will leave it there, and then I'll call the question. Or is that okay? Yep, everybody's spoken, call the question, all in favor? That's unanimous. Amazing. Okay, let's move along to recommendations from the May 11th committee of the
Mayor Little, I'm sorry to jump in. I have received regarding the next item on the agenda, I've received some information since May 11th when we've advanced this. And with the benefit of some guidance, I feel that it is advisable to recuse myself on this matter to avoid any perception of bias or conflict. So I'm going to step out of the room and let you folks talk.
So we're on 7E. Okay. We'll just wait for Councillor Shukin to recuse himself. That's great. Okay, so there's 3 members at the table. We've got the, okay, we've got a recommendation here. Would you like me to read it in, or if you want to?
I'll move that council direct staff to review and implement appropriate traffic calming measures that are suitable to the narrow sections of Le Bon Road, Barrow Road, including the potential of speed bumps, speed reductions, signage, line painting, and other appropriate measures.
Okay, this is moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Would you like to motivate on that?
Yeah, we learned at our last meeting and through correspondence that there's been difficulties with, heavy traffic on this part of Le Bon Road, concerns about safety and road damage. And this seems like a good response to look at the different sorts of things that might be the right measure to take here to improve safety and improve the situation along that road there for all users.
Thank you. Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This is not the first time in history we've had a problem in the area, but it seems to have really increased and certainly impactful in a negative way on the neighbors. So safety for everybody, including the vehicles driving through the area.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'll note at our last mayor's tea, we had talked about this issue, and someone had brought up the idea of weight restrictions on roads. So I think that would also be included in this appropriate measures to investigate. Okay, let's call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous. If I could get Councillor Schuken back in the room. Thank you, Payat. Okay, thank you. Welcome back, Councillor Schuken. So we've got next item number 9, reports for information on page 57 of your agenda package. We have the road resurfacing program award of contract. We've got a report. Oh, go ahead.
Mayor Little, I would move that the 2026 road resurfacing program be awarded to the low bidder, Island Asphalt, in the amount of $749,045.85, including GST. So.
Okay, that's moved by Councillor Schuken. Do I have a seconder? I'll second that for discussion. Did you want to motivate on that?
I'll just say that the process has been moved along, and we knew about the roads earlier on, and I've been to see several of them, and we should move along with resurfacing.
Okay. Okay, and since I seconded it, okay, go ahead. The chair always speaks last. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I just had a question for the CAO through
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely.
I just wondered if we had past experience with the recommended contract firm. And the second question was, are there any significant differences between the bids and the deliverables? I didn't see them myself, but I wasn't the one reviewing.
Okay, I'll ask the CAO. CAO Payat, would you like to comment on this?
Certainly, through the chair, not a lot of differences. The procurement process is very clear and concise out there, and we get 2 companies typically every year, and they get exactly the information, exactly the same site meetings, exactly the same dialogue, so that we don't run into any procurement problems. And there's just the 2 companies, and over the past, to my understanding, over the past many years, we've worked with both of them, but depending on the best bid.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Councillor Donaldson, did you wish to weigh in?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, motion on the floor. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, if you move to your iPad to page 57, reports for information, we have the District of Metchosin Public Communication Report, Statistics, April 2026. Could I go ahead, Councillor Gray?
I'll move that the April 2026 District of Metchosin Public Communication Report statistics be received for information.
Okay, moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Schuken. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now we've got the District of Metchosin Building Inspection Department report, as we receive this often. This is the April edition. Could I have a motion for information? Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by both of you, Councillor Schuken. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then next we have C, the West Shore RCMP 2026 Quarter 1 report. This is on page 61 of your agenda. Just get to that. Okay, has everybody got that? I think it's slow at regenerate. Has everybody got that? Okay, everybody's got it on there. Okay. Any comments regarding the West Shore RCMP first quarter report? Go ahead.
Yeah, I found it quite interesting to go through, and it may be that residents would like to see it as well. One thing that's a little bit not exactly complicated, but makes interesting reading. The numbers are so small. The small differences change the percentages wildly. But thankfully, we have low crime problems, it seems, in Metchosin, so that's very good. I did see the one death in road accidents. I wondered if, do we know, is that along Souk Road?
If you could repeat the question, along Souk Road?
I wondered, there was one death in traffic accidents, and I wondered, was that along Souk Road?
Yes,
Thank you.
I think so. There was one death, yes, nodding up from staff, yes. Yeah, I get your point about the percentages and the percentage change. That's the same with tax lifts. If you give the percentage alone, it looks huge, but dealing with actual numbers, and they've got the actual numbers in the bars in terms of file breakdown. So that was useful for me as well as the file type comparisons. I thought that was very useful. We are paying for the service. This is the citizens of Metchosin are paying dearly. We don't have a choice. We of course, when we go over 5,000 in population, we're responsible for 70% of our policing costs. And I do appreciate that they're not only in our community, but we receive these reports, as well as the new superintendent has committed to attending at least 2 meetings a year. So that's wonderful.
I'd
Okay,
be happy
any
to
other?
make the motion
Yes, sure.
that the West Shore RCMP Quarter 1 report be received for information.
Okay. And this is a motion from Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Anything else? This is on the website, on the agenda, so all the citizens can see this report. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Number 10, correspondence, and this is for information. We have a letter back. Oh, I'm sorry. Awfully sorry. I missed the D, the finance. Thank you, Councillor Schuppen. D, financial report. This is the first quarter 2026 on page 75 of your council agenda. Did you want to introduce it or? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Creek.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, through the chair. So this is our first quarter of 2026, comparing against the budget that you had just recently approved for 2026 through 2030. So a quick summary. Since it's the first quarter, most of these items are consistent with expectations. Most of the variances come down to timing related to annual insurance, our software updates, memberships, and then we've got a few delayed billings from CRD and RCMP, and then not really any of our capital projects have started. You just approved the roads, so that's our big one for the year. Main issues to consider monitoring for the rest of the year: RCMP contract policing costs, the lovely FOI related consulting fees that we have to pay, and road cleaning costs. But right now we're not expecting anything significant by year end. So for revenue, it was pretty slow as expected in the first quarter, about 37% of total budget. Property taxes are actually going to be out in the mail this week, so look for that. Don't forget to claim your homeowner grant. There's always deferral. You can find more information on our website or the back of your tax notice. The main two topics to talk about for revenue is building permit revenue. So that was about 73% of projected revenue for the first quarter. Staff will keep monitoring that. There's a number of different projects that will be completed that were started last year. We can recognize a lot of revenue for that. And then also with the spring and summer weather finally improving, should be more construction happening. School revenue just ahead of schedule by 1%, thanks to a new rental agreement with the Wellness Collective. Expenses. So we'll just break this down by kind of department. So council wages currently under budget because of the resignation from Councillor Sherry Epp in January. Our dues are higher, as mentioned, because of timing. So paid annual fees for UBCM and AVIC at the start of the year. This will balance out by the end of the year. And then our consulting is a little over budget because of some legal costs in February. For administration, as mentioned during the budgeting, our FOI requests were quite high in the first quarter. So we're currently over budget by $13,200. We're going to end up offsetting this with our legal and consulting reserve to pay for the overage. Our software licenses over budget, $45,000 to $12,000. Again, due to timing, recognize it all. Have to pay it in January, February, but it's good for the rest of the year. And then the computer upgrades have been completed for administration and the fire department. Shows over budget, but again, just timing. Once the year runs out, it'll be balanced out. Remaining accounts in line with expectations. Our fire department and EOC, so wages are higher than budgeted right now because of some payouts with the previous fire chief, along with some increase to temporary work to help fill in administrative duties while there's a transition to the new fire chief. But the main things to look out for are the firefighting equipment and first responder equipment for the second quarter, as overage for the first quarter was $5,500. A couple of these expenses should just be one-off, so could even out by the end of the year, but something we'll just be monitoring. For policing, so for the first quarter of 2026, we were billed for 3.5 officers versus the budget of 5. That could stay consistent for the rest of the year. This would end up saving $310,000. Right now, the current budget calls for a reduction in our reserve of $425,000. So that if we ended up saving $310,000, we could reduce that reserve drawdown by 73%, and which can help pay for costs in the future. And then we have not received our bill for civilian staffing or rent in 2026 coming from Langford. So right now we only show ECOM and that won't bill from the RCMP. Should hopefully receive it in the next little bit. When I emailed their manager, she just came back from vacation. So hopefully everything will be cleared up soon. For bylaw, this was under budget by $21,000. Most of this just relates to the CRD, not billing us for the first quarter of the year until April, but it did average out to about $6,800 a month versus our budget of $3,400, so it's quite a bit over. So hopefully it won't be that bad for the rest of the year, but we'll see how it goes. Building inspection, not a whole lot going on in there, so just under budget by $3,300. Everything should be fine there. Planning department, we've got consulting fees. They're over budget by quite a bit, but $16,200 relates to our GIS mapping updates. So we're just getting everything caught up in that department. We should have some new maps here quite shortly. Just met with our consultant last week. We've got everything ready. Address is being trained to staff on how to do that. And then we should have new maps that are easily used on our website, hopefully within the next month. Public Works. So bridges are over budget due to a bunch of repair work on Hillman and Flesh Road bridges. Hopefully these expenses even out as staff haven't really done anything with the bridges since. They're focused more on road work and preparation for the capital projects in the summer. Signs are also over budget. That's due to a lot of cleaning that's done near the end of winter. Should also even out over the year. Road cleaning has been a big problem in the first quarter. We're $11,000 over budget. Due to a significant increase in illegal dumping along roadsides and ditches. And then sanding and salting. It's also over budget by $13,000, but again, it comes down to timing. If spread it over the 12 months, should be no sanding or salting for the next 8 months. Parks and Rec, everything's tracking, no material variances noted there. And then we've got a list of the capital projects. So the roads, tender is closed. Just received approval from council this evening on where that goes. So hopefully they'll be starting that sometime in late June, maybe July. New road culvert, still awaiting the final engineering. So far, no no major costs have been incurred for that project. The bulk water station, CRD should be starting construction shortly. Ideally, we're looking at the end of July for the completion of that project. More notice will be indicated to public once that's being wrapped up. The fire hall, we don't have a project manager approved. There's been no capital spending on this project, so and we're also, again, council meeting tonight, decision for that, so we'll see what the CAO does. Our light duty fire truck, we received 3 quotes, and that is expected to be delivered sometime in July to be kitted out and everything else, so looking good there. And then engine number 6, looks like we'll be end up deferring that to 2027. It's unlikely to have any spend in 2026 unless fire chief gets a little more things off his plate and he can focus on that. But we'll just leave it in the budget for 2027 going forward. Overall, based on first quarter results, not looking like we'll need to do any budget amendments right now. But we'll keep monitoring any variances that pop up, and we'll come back with the second quarter report in July once all the figures have been posted. And then I guess, do we have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Creek. Do we have any questions at the table? Councillor Gray.
Yeah, maybe one comment, one question. And one is that FOI budget, that's a stubborn number, isn't it? It sort of sticks there. My question though was the bulk water station, and Mr. Creek, through the chair, you may not be the right person to ask, but as I recall, it was going to be either on William Head Road or in Lombard, and I wonder if where it ended up being situated with regard to the CRDs. Look at it.
Through the chair. So it's going to be located on William Head, pretty close to Lombard though.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Gray.
Well, maybe I'll just say thanks so much for the comprehensive report, Mr. Creek.
There's no comments from the finance chair.
No, I think Mr. Creek has us in good hands. He's keeping track of things, and I appreciate the honesty in here, telling us where we do have some overages, and he's going to be mindful of tracking those and reporting back to us the next term. Yeah, thank you. Next quarter, rather.
Yeah, exceptional work. Thank you, CFO Creek, and thank you to staff. Okay. I'm just having a little bit of problem with, we're going to just take a pause. If I can get the deputy corporate officer to help me with reloading, it keeps booting me out. If you could come here. Can we just take a 5-minute pause and we'll be back, and don't go anywhere. 5-minute pause. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Just let me check with staff. Are we good to go, or we're good to go? Okay, I apologize for that. Trying to work with the internet and the technology. Okay, so we've just done the financial report. Did we call the question on receiving that? No, actually, we need a motion that the 2026 first quarter financial report be received for information, and that the correspondence be received for information. Council Donaldson.
So moved.
Moved by Council Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Gray. Comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have correspondence for information on 127 of your computer. We have Honorable Randine Neal, Minister of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship, a response to one with the nature application and ESUC. We've got the minister's response as well as my original letter. Does anybody want to comment on that? The letter that was dated May 6th. Okay, Councillor Gray.
Well, thank you very much for your letter, Mayor Little. I think it expressed the views quite well of what we discussed at council.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. I'm wondering about the response from Minister Randine Neal. It seems there's a process they go through, and that sounds great, and we've got her input in there. But Randine notes, should the District of Metchosin be interested in the addition of this parcel to East Sooke Park in the future, I encourage you to discuss the matter with the CRD, who has jurisdiction over East Sooke Park and must make an application to the province if park inclusion is to be considered. Is that something that you could take up with the CRD as your role as vice chair, or is it something we write a letter about? What would you recommend, Mayor Little?
You know, I can do either. I think it's always better to put it in writing, since they've already seen this, I'm sure. The letter is a public document now because it was on the agenda. I would think that a motion from this council asking me to engage the CRD, include all of the correspondence that we are encouraging the CRD to for the addition of this parcel to the East Sooke Park in the future. I think that would be great. And I would entertain a motion to that effect. Moved by Council Shukin, seconded by Council Donaldson. Anybody else want to talk about that?
I think it's a great idea. I wonder if we should write the motion down for staff. That motion on the fly question we were raising earlier might be just helpful.
Right. Okay. So, well, that's sort of implied in the letter. I don't think staff would be really surprised if we wouldn't have this motion. We are going to receive it, and we're going to write a letter. Council asks the mayor to write a letter to the CRD. Who has jurisdiction over East Sooke Park for potential addition to the parcel to East Sooke Park. This is regarding the Crown land as discussed. And we could include all the Land Act files, 1415, 403, and the others in that noticeable or in that motion. Is that clear to everybody? So that we're talking about, just so everybody's clear, this is the application that was submitted by One with Nature Corporation for use of the Crown land adjacent to East Sooke Park. So what council is asking me to do is write a letter to the CRD. I'll also follow that obviously with a conversation suggesting that the CRD may want to add this parcel to the East Sooke Regional Park. I was just wondering, is that clear to staff? And have I confused things? That council asked the mayor to write a letter to the CRD, who has jurisdiction. If I can just say that council asked the mayor to write a letter to the CRD, who has jurisdiction over East Sooke Regional Park, that they consider adding the Crown application submitted by one with Nature Corps, the Land Act files 1415403, 141. I didn't hear her, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, we're just going to call a recess. We've got problems with the technology. Just 5 minutes again, sorry. Okay, thank you. We're just going to resume after our 5-minute break. We've got the technology worked out. I'm just going to repeat the notice of, or the motion coming from this letter, that council asks the mayor to write a letter to the CRD, who has jurisdiction over East Sioux Park, to consider adding Crown Land Applications Land Act file 1415403, 1415404, and 1415322 to East Sioux Park. Does that capture everything? Okay.
I think so. And the one point that it would be the CRD would do this, I expect, and the province, but consultation with First Nations. I don't think it's needed in the motion, but I think it'll be something that will be discussed at the provincial and CRD levels if it proceeds.
Yeah,
which would be good news.
That you're right. That's not necessary, because one of our strategic priorities is outreach consultation with First Nations before any parcels of land are bought or sold. So that is a given at this point. And so this is a motion. This was moved by Council Shukin, seconded by Council Donaldson. Anybody else want to speak to it? No? I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. And thanks for your patience on that. The next item we have for correspondence for information, we have a letter from Honorable Stephen McKinnon, Minister of Transport and Leader of the Government in the House of Commons, response to concerns regarding excessively bright headlights. We've got the letter that I wrote, as well as the minister's response. Councillor Shukin, I think this was an issue that you brought up on behalf of one of our citizens. I think it was Mr. White, Eric White, that brought this forward at a council meeting. Did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, just very quickly. So thank you, Mr. White, for bringing this up and for the great letter you wrote. And there's a lot of work in here that you've done, Mayor Little, on the whole package. So thank you. What I take from this letter is that they're aware of the problem. They're looking into it, and there is maybe a change coming in the future. That's a big thing I guess I get out of it, but it's great they've written back. So not every day you get a letter from the Minister of Transportation. So.
Yeah, and pretty timely as well.
Yeah,
It was March,
for
end
sure.
of March or something. Yeah. What did everybody else think to the letter? Any? It looks like they're aware of the file. They're working on potential solutions. They've no doubt received other correspondence regarding bright lights, in particular bright headlights, affecting not only people but wildlife and birds. Anything else?
Well, I might say I didn't get a sense of urgency with the letter, and yet I think it may well be an urgent problem in terms of people's safety at night in vehicles and pedestrians. But I appreciate that we've got a response, and as you say, people are paying attention.
Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes we do receive responses, and it's thank you for your inquiry, signed Minister. This is a 3-page letter outlining what has been done, what they're doing in terms of recent recalls, as well as their amendments to the CMVSS 108. So I thought it was a good letter. Urgency, I think it was fact-based, what they've been doing, what has been done, what they're looking forward to in the future. Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to receive. Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next, we have correspondence for information. This is UBCM, Provincial Response to 2025 Resolutions. So this is a response. So just to give the community an idea, this was a resolution that came from this table on Canadian geese. We took it to UBCM, spoke to that. Others spoke to this as well. And this is the response that we got back. UBCM shepherded it to the province. The province has given it back to UBCM, and they've given us a copy. Councillor Donaldson, did you wish to speak about the letter?
Yeah, I was mildly disappointed because they've kind of punted it back to us to manage, which we are doing. CRD is being proactively working with the Goose group, as well as there is a CRD Goose working group, which one of our residents has been appointed to, and one of the members of PAC is always also on that, which is the Peninsula Agriculture Advisory Commission. So they're reporting back to us regularly of things that are taking place in managing the goose population. And just a note to everyone here in the room, as well as our public viewing, there will be a bolt coming up in June, and I'm hoping that staff will put this on the website again. We did this last year, and that's the time where we take count heads of geese, or because they're not flying at that point when they're molting, and it goes for, I think it's a few days. So those are the numbers that these groups are looking at to be able to manage the population. Doesn't appear that because they are protected as under the Wildlife Act, there's not a lot that it sounds like that the province is going to do. But that was my interpretation. I may have missed it. Mostly this has come up a few times through UBC resolutions, but I'm really pleased that we actually got a response. I don't recall with other resolutions that we have. So that's a real bonus. Appreciating the feedback at least.
Thanks for the comments. Anybody else wish to comment? You know, I did anticipate a more exuberant response from the Ministry of Environment. However, the CRD does have a program in place, and they are doing things like rattling eggs, not doing anything to the goose itself, which is protected, but rattling the eggs so that they prevent the eggs from hatching as well. And so I am hoping that the ministry works with other levels of government, because as Councillor Donaldson has pointed out many times, many of the farmers both here in Metchosin but also on the peninsula have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars due to Canadian geese. I can't remember the number. Councillor Donaldson, perhaps you do, of the Mitchell farm. They had lost in one day, it was 78,000 or something. It was really, really very sad. So I think there are measures that can be taken place. Okay, no other comments? Okay, take a motion to receive. Councillor Donaldson.
Move to receive the information. Thank you.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Shukin. All in favor? That's unanimous. Okay, next we have the Victoria Family Court and Youth Justice Committee Annual Report. Okay, as you know, this is very personal to me. I'm chair of the Victoria Family Court and Youth Justice Committee, a small but mighty committee, a delegated CRD commission with the goals to educate and advocate. So we educate on behalf of the regional partners that sit at our table, educate them on what is needed regarding the service providers that provide the services for boots on the ground, as well as we advocate for the service providers. And what our mission is to support family and youth who are coming in contact with the justice system or are in contact with the justice system. So it's an absolute dynamic committee, representation from all over the region, as you've noted since you've read the report, I'm sure. And every year we have a 2025 annual report. We're always looking for volunteers. There are CRD appointments to this committee, small but mighty, and we do really good work. So if you're interested in social justice, if you've got a background in the justice system, lawyers, people that work in penitentiaries, please put your name forward. Social workers, anybody that wishes to volunteer, you can volunteer through the CRD. Anybody have any questions about the beautiful annual report?
It was a very interesting report. I read it cover to cover.
Okay.
I just have a couple of questions. So I'm really appreciative that there were several grants shared over some integral groups helping various different youth sectors of our communities. Mm-hmm. And we know earlier this year that we did lose some of the missed groups, so that altered some things and probably created a little bit of a gap. Maybe not, maybe they've got some other services, but nevertheless, the fact that you kept on going and had, I see that the meetings were reduced to like quarterly, or is that right? Yeah, just 4 months.
It was to preserve capacity of staff, and we were trying to condense it. We actually increased it. We went small, then we've added a few meetings, but certainly not as many meetings that we had before. You're right. Yeah.
So the other question I had was, I noticed that there was mention of open house, but I didn't get a clear idea of when or what that was really all about.
It is on, I should know that. I'm sorry. It is on July 12th at the City of Victoria. No, sorry, June 12th at the City of Victoria. I'm just moving to that document so that I get the date right. It's Tuesday, June 2nd. I should know that. 1 to 4. That's in the City of Victoria Antechamber. Everybody's welcome. We're going to have an introduction by youth that are involved with the Victoria Youth Empowerment Society. Yes, we funded them through our, not funded them, we gave them a grant through the Victoria Family Court and Youth Justice. So all the service providers are invited to attend. It's really fabulous. If you've got some time, you're more than welcome to join us.
Great, thank you.
And regarding MIST, we continually advocate. So this is the Mobile Youth Services Team. The counselor coordinates with the police officer, and they go about. There was one team that was doing a regional approach. West Shore RCMP, the last superintendent, had decided to switch it up and provide sort of a MIST team for the West Shore. Caused a lot of friction and a lot of gaps because, as you know, youth don't stay in one municipality. They move throughout the region. And that's why it was a mobile youth services team. What we needed was 2 teams, not 2 separate teams. So we continue to advocate for them, as well as we continue to advocate for the service providers. Yeah. Okay. If you haven't read the report, you could read it tonight. Okay, thank you. I'll take a motion to receive. Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Okay, next we have, Oh, I'm sorry, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And next we have Dean Murdoch, the Mayor of District of Saanich, BC Local Government Climate Action Program, funding continuation. Councillor Gray, did you wish to speak to this? It's on page 169.
Sure. I think the letter that we got from
Just pull it
Mayor
up.
Murdoch makes very good sense. He's talking about the question of the loss of his grant, the local government action, the climate action plan grants, and I'm wondering if we should step up and send a letter ourselves.
What does council think? What that would be another letter. You know, I do appreciate when motions are come forward. I write these letters myself, with the exception Councillor Shukin, when he has a motion, he helps me, gives me points. If you want me to write the letter, it'd be great if you gave me some verbiage. I'll write the letter, but I'll include what you think are the salient features. What's the will of the council? Would you like to send a similar letter? Hello.
Yes, that would be a great idea.
Okay.
Simply because there's so much downloading from provincial government for us to take care of all these things, and then we start doing it, and then they take funding away, and we're you know, our taxpayers are then having to pay quite a bit.
Okay.
And there are some really good reports coming out of the GHGs in various communities, whether it be West Shore Parks and Recreation or Mayor Murdoch has mentioned here their experiences and that sort of thing. So we're all following what we were set up to do, and it'd be nice if we had some support.
And so just if you don't have it up on your iPad, Councillor Gray, I'll help you here. So the ask is to that the province confirm their commitment to consistent, continuous LGCAP funding. And we look forward to future collaboration and climate action and preparedness. Does that, in a nutshell, capture what you were thinking?
Yes, that's exactly it. And I think it makes good sense to send a letter.
Okay. Okay. So remind me where we are. There was a motion or no motion? There was motion by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Is that right? Yep. Okay. Anybody else want to comment on the letter? I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Yep. Okay. Next, we have a letter from somebody who I didn't know but attended the mayor's tea. I thought that was really nice. Very, very nice of her to actually write in. We don't often get these kind of letters, but it is really nice. I think it's brief, so we can repeat it if that's okay. I wanted to say This is from Melanie. On the 15th of May, I wanted to say I enjoyed the last get together with the mayor and the community to get to know her better and see what our community has in common. It's incredibly helpful to residents and homeowners to see the transparency of our council members. And I thought it was a good way to bring goodwill back. I believe going forward, this should be offered regularly. Inviting people to the table in honesty and respect is a much needed proactive step towards goodwill. Thank you, Melanie. So that was received on May 15th. So thank you, Melanie, for your compliments. She was at the last mayor's tea. I've never met her before, so it was great that we're bringing out citizens from all over the community.
She has come to a couple of meetings recently, and I bumped into her at the Mighty Garage Sale on the weekend and had seen this in the package, and I thanked her for sharing it and encouraged her to keep coming back to meetings, and that the mayor's teas have been going monthly this whole term. So
yes,
so
3.5 years.
Something new for her, so she's looking forward to attending the next one.
Yeah, and I also did mention to her at the meeting that I'm here all the time. So if you want to talk to me one-on-one, I realize sometimes in a group dynamics, people don't like that, but they're welcome to make an appointment with me as well.
Mayor Little, can I just ask, can we confirm the date for the next mayor's team?
It's the second Tuesday of the month.
Second Tuesday.
So it'll be the
June.
second Tuesday of June. I'm going to ask Miss Barnes, do you know which day that is? The 9th. About
Thank
the
you.
9th. Okay.
So I'm happy to move that the correspondence be received for information.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous as well. Bylaws, number 11, on page 175 of your council agenda, we have the Bufferland Reserve Fund bylaw 2026, number 714. We have a report and a recommendation here. Is it, Council Shukin, do you wish to speak to this, or are we going to ask staff? Council Donaldson? Yeah.
I'm going to make the motion
Mhm.
that council adopt the District of Metchosin Bufferland Reserve Fund bylaw 2026, number 714.
Okay. This is moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Shukin. You wish to speak to it?
Yes, and just really pleased that again that we've put this forward some time ago, and staff have helped us shepherd it to this point. This is to help support the proposals and the work of the Bufferland Working Group and the various entities since then, of being able to identify what we need to keep this green space in a manner that can be used for education, enjoyment, this sort of thing. There will be some expenses, and citing the fact that we are getting some funds from the agreement of the land swap, the industrial park, we do get a percentage, and so some of those funds have always gone into general revenue. So just probably is going to happen in a similar fashion, but we now actually have a reserve specific to this piece of acreage that is integral to our community and a result of the historic land swap.
Okay. Councillor Shukin. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say that I think the next steps with the buffer land in terms of planning and making it a park are going to be some of those interesting land use planning exercises I think Metchosin's ever gone through. And key thing is a lot of the work is going to be done by volunteers. That's what the outlook is right now. Metchosin does not have a parks department, as we well know. So the fact that we have a committed set of funds that will be accessible over the years, I think is a real positive in terms of doing this well. So,
okay. I'm just going to ask our Deputy Corporate Officer, Miss Hanson, can you remind us where we are in the second reading regarding this bylaw?
Yes, so at the previous council meeting, council gave first 3 readings of the bylaw, and now the bylaw is just being considered for adoption.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Go ahead. Have you given the, yes, you've given the motion, you seconded. Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? No one opposed. We've got a record in unanimity this evening. Okay, and then other business. There's no other business, but there is 2 notice of motions. Councillor Gray, you had a notice of motion.
Yes, I do. So the notice of motion reads that council request the CAO prepare a report on the status of the West Shore RCMP building project, and that the report include an analysis of financial impacts to the district, whether as part owner or as an ongoing tenant. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's a notice of motion, doesn't require a seconder. So this will be considered at the next council meeting. Okay, and the second notice of motion is to ask staff to bring back a report on hiring a lead consultant to steer the fire hall project and to re-engage the fire hall steering committee to discuss the concept of a project lead consultant. Okay. Do you want me to read that again? The staff have it. Would you like me to read it for you again?
Mayor Little, this is your notice of motion? Okay, great.
Can I just ask why you wouldn't just put it on the agenda as the chair?
Because it was something that came up as we were reading through the documents again regarding the technical team. Today I thought, I think this is the time that we should engage. And actually, I shouldn't be motivating on it because this is a notice of motion. Doesn't require a seconder, and it doesn't require, or is it, the motivation is not a part of the notice of motion.
I wasn't suggesting motivation. I was asking about process. Thank you.
As the process, similar to what you've got a notice of motion, doesn't require notification, doesn't require a seconder. It will be discussed in the next meeting. So will this notice of motion. Okay, we're clear?
Yes, my question was as chair, can't you just put it on the agenda?
Well, I would have if I had considered it last Thursday with my mayor's report, but I didn't put it right on the agenda. Yeah, last Thursday when it was published. Okay, so we've got time for question period. We've got 20 minutes, a maximum, for questions. Does anybody from the public want to ask any questions?
Eric White, Chosen Road. I keep hearing the fire hall. People keep using the Taj Mahal as a somewhat derogatory term towards our fire hall. But I was wondering, because the Taj Mahal was built in 1653, so we're talking a building that stood for almost 400 years and sees 4 million visitors a year, significant wear and tear. Why are we not considering, or what is the consideration of the time span for the next time we have to talk about building a fire hall? Are we talking about a 25-year renovation? Are we talking about a new build that lasts us 100 years? I'm not sure I've heard what are parameters for the needs of how long this is supposed to last. So I'd like to, I'm curious what our parameters are. Thanks.
Okay. Who would like to start off on this? As I remember, the JDA report talked about building not only for our current needs, but our future needs beyond 25 years. We're not talking 4 centuries, but 25 years, 50 years. Perhaps the CAO would like to comment on the timeline, and I think this is an important part of this whole process, and it's an important point. So thank you for asking the question. Go ahead, CAO Payette.
Yeah, through the chair. If I recall, a JDA feasibility study discussed new build and the length of the new build being 50 to 60 years of time for a new build. Can't remember if that's actually in the report or was in the deliberations. But that being said, in a needs review, it'll be part of a needs review as far as community needs go. So that's a good question.
Did you want to ask a follow-up question? Or that was what you were interested in? Good question. Mr. Lamb.
Lamb, Hackmore Drive. My question's around the new RCMP building. Was Metchosin given the option of taking in an equity position in that building?
Was Metchosin ever given the option to acquire a part ownership of the building?
Correct.
Is what you're asking?
Equity position.
Perhaps the CAO, Mr. Payette, could you comment
through
on
the
that?
chair. Coincidentally, this came up today somewhere in one of my discussions. I don't know why. My initial thought was the timeline of the RCMP detachment new build goes back like quite a number of years. And if there were discussions about Metchosin being involved in some kind of equity, we're not aware. But it doesn't mean it didn't take place because it's been a number of years.
No, I understand, but if the comment saying that you're not aware of the district had discussions around an equity, taking an equity position, that's kind of scary. The fact that there were or there weren't discussions and we're not sure where we were on it, so. I guess.
Maybe I can clarify. So
Sure.
I think the project, there was discussions around 2017, I think.
Right.
2019, so that was, 2017 was, so that's 2 terms ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't at the table. The CAO wasn't in his position at the time. We could look for some information regarding that, but I recall the former mayor stating quite emphatically that we were going to be renters in that building. And to me, when I think about $103 million that they are going to be spending on that building, we really don't have the capacity, I think, and certainly from the financial reports that our CFO has given to us, I don't see us having the financial capacity to be an owner. I would rather be a renter. And the rents are not determined by that it has been said, by Colwood, Langford, and View Royal. The rents are determined by the province, I'm told. It's not from those 3 groups. So those 3 groups themselves, those 3 municipalities themselves, they don't have the funds to build that building. So the CRD is involved. They're going to be holding the $103 or so million loan.
Right.
They'll be carrying that loan until the loan is paid off. So the CRD will be owners of that building until the loan is paid off, and then it will be transferred to the 3 municipalities.
Right.
And so you could imagine, we've had discussions here about a loan of $6 million for the fire hall, and the community erupted because of that debt. I can't imagine what kind of debt we would have to incur to become an owner. But we haven't asked our CFO to comment on that or to crunch the numbers regarding, see, we're dealing with some unknowns here. We don't know what the future rent will be. What we do know is they're going to spend at least $103 million on it. We don't know what the future rents. Of course, the rents will increase. Everybody's rent increases. Did you have a specific worry or
Well,
concern, Gary?
no, the question is, when you look at the existing equity interests of the three owners now, you've got Langford that has 50-some%, and then you got View Royal that's down in the teens. So there is a wide range of ownership within that party of three.
Sure.
So the question comes back, ultimately, Metchosin is going to get charged the corresponding rent so that those equity owners, now I know it'll be dictated by CRD for the initial term, presumably, but they're still going to get a return on their money that they've invested in this facility. So again, it kind of raises the question, what, if any, analysis, and it sounds like it was something that was decided sometime before the existing administration and staff as well. So.
Yeah, and I think what we have to also consider is not only the building, but also maintenance ongoing. And so any co-owner would be responsible for the maintenance.
Well,
ongoing.
and that I would argue is going to come through in the rents as well. So
Yep, that's
to
true.
say that that's all going to fall back to the owners, I don't believe that.
No, it'll be cost shared. So we are, if we were to own the building, it would be based on population. So Langford has the biggest contribution to that. They've got the biggest population.
Yep.
And that Highlands at 2,500 or at 5,000, their contribution to the West Shore RCMP, if they wanted to own it, I suspect, I don't know, we haven't had that conversation, would be proportional to their population, as is their, the province pays, and the feds pay their 70% in Highlands, and they pay 30%. We're the opposite because we're over 5,000. We pay 70% of our policing costs, as well as the accommodations and the rent.
Right.
But it's not just the purchase of the building. It is ongoing. And there is the liability as well. Remember, if there's something that happens at the building, the people that will be brought to court or sued would be the co-owners, not the renters. And that is an important consideration of any municipal or government building. I haven't done the numbers. If you're asking me if I've done the numbers, I haven't.
No, and I guess that's my point.
Yeah.
It appears that we haven't done the numbers, and I'm questioning why.
Why?
Why?
Why? Well,
Why have we not
haven't.
done the numbers?
I meet with the mayors of the West Shore
Right.
once a month,
Yep.
and Souk and View Royal, sometimes the township of Esquimalt.
Right.
Not once have they ever asked, do you want to be an owner? I will ask perhaps CAO Payette, did you want to comment, or Mr. Creek? Thank you.
Thanks, through the chair. So for council, we receive rent invoices from the province. We have from Langford, and we've reached out to understand where what the multipliers are for the past rents, and we're not expecting the mathematics to change based on a capital project. That would be odd. That, in my opinion, that any kind of capital project would change the multipliers for a rental factor, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. If that's the case and we weren't made aware of, I would be very concerned with that. So let's see what happens.
But at this point, we've committed to take a renter position rather than an equity position, correct? So we're
At this point, we weren't given the option. This council, the CAO, CFO, they've never entered into any discussion, negotiation regarding co-ownership of the building. That's
with
just
the
factual.
with the existing administration, or any previous administration.
Previous administrations at the District of Metchosin?
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, again, I'm asking, would that not have been prudent? And if it was prudent, then there should be information available on that analysis.
Okay, I suspect there wasn't an analysis done. I'm going to ask the Deputy Corporate Officer in her memory, does she remember any kind of report or ask or letter coming to the district?
I don't have that information, Mayor Little, and I would just say that the procedure bylaw says that question period is, it's not a back and forth. Your council or the chair should just be directing the public member to the appropriate department for answers.
Thank you for the reminder. I'm going to ask if you could have a conversation with the CAO.
Okay, thank you.
So that you can have a conversation with the CFO.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Gray.
I just want to point out, I wasn't jumping in because I have a notice of motion coming up on just this topic, and taking your advice earlier, chose not to speak, but a lot of things have been said today, and I think we maybe look forward to the next meeting and we'll talk about it again, and I'll be involved in that discussion as well. Thank you.
And this was your notice of motion this evening.
To do with the RCMP police building cost, ownership, and renter, how we got in the situation we're in today.
What situation that we're in today are you referring to?
I think I'll take your earlier advice and we'll talk about it when the motion comes up. Thank you.
Okay. Has it been inflammatory, but okay. Anybody else wish to ask questions at the question period? No. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Schuken, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you, everybody.